The aristocracy of the Antemnates represents one of the earliest noble groups known in the history of central Italy. Their name derives from the settlement of Antemnae, a city located near the confluence of the Tiber River and the Anio River, just north of what later became the city of Rome. This geographical position was extremely important because the site controlled routes that connected the Sabine Mountains with the plains of Latium. Because of this strategic location, the ruling families of Antemnae were not simply local tribal elites, but participants in the wider political landscape of early central Italy. The name Antemnae itself is often associated with the Latin expression ante amnes, meaning before the rivers, or in front of the rivers, referring to the city's position at the meeting point of waterways. The ruling class of the Antemnates was organized around aristocratic families whose authority was based on lineage and inherited status. In early Italic societies, political power usually belonged to clans that controlled land, warriors, and religious authority. These noble families likely served both as military leaders and as guardians of sacred traditions. Religion and politics were deeply connected in early Latium, so the aristocracy would also have supervised rituals dedicated to tribal gods and ancestral spirits. Because Antemnae stood geographically between the Sabine highlands and the Latin plains, the culture of its elite likely blended both Sabine and Latin traditions. According to the legendary history of early Rome, the Antemnates were among the first neighbouring peoples to come into direct conflict with the new city founded by Romulus. Shortly after Rome was founded, the famous episode known as the abduction of the Sabine women caused several surrounding communities to unite against Rome. Among the cities involved in these conflicts were Caenina, Crustumerium, and Antemnae. The noble leaders of the Antemnates organized their tribal forces and marched against Rome. The war between Antemnae and Rome became one of the earliest recorded military episodes in Roman legendary tradition, and demonstrated the expanding power of the young Roman community. Roman tradition states that Antemnae was eventually captured by Romulus and incorporated into the growing Roman state. After the conquest, many inhabitants of Antemnae were reportedly transferred to Rome itself. During this process, some of the noble families of Antemnae were integrated into Roman society. This practice was common in early Rome, where elites from neighbouring communities were absorbed into the Roman aristocracy. By incorporating foreign noble families, Rome strengthened its population and increased the political cohesion of the new state. Ancient historians such as Titus Livius suggest that nobles from conquered communities could become part of the Roman ruling class. This indicates that early Roman aristocracy was not formed from a single ethnic group, but from a mixture of Latin, Sabine, and other Italic elites. The patrician class that later dominated Roman politics likely emerged from this blending of aristocratic families from different communities. The Antemnates nobles may therefore have contributed to the earliest layers of Roman patrician society. Archaeological discoveries have confirmed that Antemnae was an important settlement during the Iron Age. Excavations north of Rome have revealed burial sites, pottery, and defensive structures associated with early Latin culture. These findings suggest that Antemnae was not merely a small village, but a fortified tribal centre with a complex social structure. Its location along the Tiber Valley also allowed the settlement to monitor trade routes and agricultural territories, which would have enriched its ruling families. The Antemnates nobles were also part of the competitive political landscape of early Latium. Before Rome became dominant, the region was filled with many small city-states and tribal communities. Alliances and conflicts between these communities were frequent. Cities such as Antemnae, Caenina, and Crustumerium played roles in the early struggles that shaped the power balance of Latium. Although their aristocratic families were influential locally, they eventually lost their independence as Rome expanded and absorbed neighbouring territories.